No one understands. Even the intelligence, even the minds and the officials in the NIS cannot still unpack the puzzle of how more than 500,000 Kenyans or more than 100,000 Kenyans were able to converge in Nairobi CBD on 25th and 18th of June. The intelligence cannot explain. How did we end up with many Kenyans thronging the CBD? They were not mobilized through any mainstream media, but people converted from the Twitter to the street, and they were able to outnumber the police in the streets of Nairobi. No one can explain that puzzle, and not even the intelligence team have been able to explain to the president what's going on. And that is why on 28th tomorrow, on 28th this Tuesday or 27th, there is a protest that some young human rights activists, Mc Oure and some other young people were organizing in Nairobi. And President Ruto is more terrified leaving any no stone unturned. So today I've seen that video and they were actually arrested. I just want to show you these two critical reasons why William Ruto is very terrified when we speak about any protest in Nairobi. Before we get to those details, I want to humbly request you guys to subscribe to our channel. Apart from political analysis, the difference with us and other is we also do charity programs in this community. And so I'm in this North Coast, part of Kilifi. We are supporting 15 elderly women in Magarini. As you can see, they are very old. They are living in a very dilapidated state. And I can tell you, I've spent my better part of the week there. The few days I've been here and there. Really, they are really in need. So our team is Team Bold. Our intervention is we are going to put up some structures for them. They already have the structure, so we're just going to make some repairs, some 5 houses there. Then there are those where they need mattresses, and then we shall also do food stuff distribution. That should be on Thursday. So we have a budget of around 150,000. We are really still far from that budget, a deficit of around 95,000. But I believe kidogo kidogo hujaza kibaba. So kindly let's come through, let's converge around this. I'm just so happy and I want to say thank you. I may not have responded to the messages because nimekuwa kwa field. I've been there, I've been spending my better part of the day there. That's why I'm shooting at night. And nimekuwa kwa field and of course uko hata shida sometimes the network. But if I get time, probably I'll be able to respond to 1 or 2. But I'm just so grateful, asanteni sana, for really coming out to support this. I've always been saying there is the face of humanity in anything. Before anything else, we are human beings, and service to man is service to God. So God will also meet us at the point of need. Right at this. Listen to Mc Oure's speech, Kasmuel Mc Oure's speech, before they were arrested in town.
Collect the signatures. Yes. We are not here to fight anybody.
No.
We are not here to do any chaos. We are not the anarchists. We are peaceful people. Congress power. Congress power. We are peaceful.
We are peaceful. We are peaceful. We are peaceful. We are peaceful.
We are peaceful. We are peaceful. Why will you do maandamano bila kujulisha OCS? Surely. This is peace. Hata kama una record statement surely. Must you come kunini? Bana. OCS cannot happen. Yes. Hii Kenya inatawaliwa na sheria. Unaelewana? Kama mnaenda we agree. Wasiona waenda we agree. Yes, we agree.
So this is what's happening. These young people, they were just together in some small group, convoy, not a convoy. They were just walking in town and singing yote wezekana bila Ruto. It was not even a big number. I'm telling you, the police did not even allow them to walk for a kilometer. Just within the CBD, they could not converge there. I'm telling you, if the police see people converging, even a group of 10 or 5, they just feel threatened. Now that's how unsafe the regime has come. In fact, if we are not careful, we are rolling back the gains we had made in exercising Article 37, the right to protest and picket. Before, as the Gen Z-led protest was really showing what the power of the people, what the people can do, but those in power feel unsafe and insecure. And in fact, there is an amendment in Parliament that is seeking to outlaw that article, to tweak that Article 37, so that people will not go to the street to protest. But you may need to ask, what is this? Because and we've brought in Raila Odinga, so we had broad-based, and so the Mgaucho, the Nuru Okangas, the Omosh 1 hour are not in the street. We've got some people in government, and so we are supposed to have peace. But there is a lot of insecurity, and when the president hears of someone protesting, I'm telling you, there's a problem, and it is because of these two reasons. The first one is the university funding model. You know, those who normally would just the town during protests are the university students. And if you follow Bangladesh, most of them were university students. Now, in Nairobi, one of the reasons why the protest in August even went down, the number even reduced, is the university was closed. It was closed, but there was some recess, 4 months, so people reduced. But William Ruto is very terrified of this demographic known as students, university students.
Secretary General, and Mr. President, for the entire time I was sitting on this seat, it was becoming hotter and hotter, for the simple reason that by every minute I'm receiving phone calls, because before I came here, I engaged my people from JKUAT, and they told me if I did not tell you the truth, they would impeach me. So allow me to be as candid with you as possible. Proceed. Mr. President, my first question, and one of the biggest questions my people have been asking me, is why the rush? Why the rush in implementing a model that has a lot of technicalities? Why the rush? Because I am a financial engineer, and as you have said, the issue of the interest rates is determined by actuarial scientists. But the model in itself has a lot of issues up to this moment. So even if we had all these issues coupled together, you've given a lot of sad stories of people not making it to campuses such as the Scott Bible Institute being closed. But Mr. President, we have a lot of people being affected right now. While we were at Naivasha, Mr. President, once we left, we felt like rubber stamps. Naongea ukweli, comrades. For the simple reason that after that, a report was given in Naivasha. We had a summit in Naivasha around June. And the report that came out is that we had agreed to the model. And our comrades were really angry with us, Mr. President. So we felt at that point like we were being set up. Like what we are telling the people is just for formalities. And we have spoken in a lot of forums, Mr. President, but I believe you have already noticed that people are not clapping much to even the best of points, because there's a general tiresome. There's a general exhaustion among the people, because we are usually given a lot of promises. We will come to forums such as this, but we know that very little of it will be implemented. And Mr. President, we also know that corruption is the biggest public expenditure. And before you came into office, there were people you came into office with who had corruption scandals. But once they got into office, they became suddenly people of integrity. And Mr. President, in as much as we are discussing education, we know that the help decries of you've even told us, and it's also something I take issue with. While we were with you at State House, you told us that the debt was around 70 billion or there was a time you told us 70 billion. A time came you told us private universities have 51 billion. And today you said 180 billion. And as a financial engineer, I'm finding it a little bit hard to reconcile all these figures, Mr. President. So you could also state it a bit more clearly over that. But the HELB and the PS of Education has told us severally that the public institutions had debts and all such kinds of stuff. But we have seen exposés on Twitter, exposés by the Auditor General, telling us that a chair somewhere cost 3.3 million, Mr. President. I will not rush to criticize anything of the sort, but you know that corruption is a big expenditure in this country. What is your administration doing to ensure that corruption ends in public institutions? Mr. President, you are using 9 beaters to classify people. Once again, I'm a financial engineer and I take keen interest in numbers. You use 9 factors to classify people. Now explain this to me. We have a parent earning 25,000 shillings. And the firstborn has made it to JKUAT to do financial engineering. But this family has 7 people. It has 6 siblings under the person who has made it to financial engineering. So under what category does this person fall? Let's even say it's 50,000. This person lives in the CBD at a place where the life is very expensive. So under what category does this person fall? Or will we have the same thing repeating itself of that girl who was looking at the people with graduation gowns? Because the firstborn, yes, made it to campus and they found the new funding model and they appealed because they were placed in band 5. But unfortunately, as you've heard, we have, let me confirm the numbers, we have 26,000 appeals. And also as a financial engineer, I know that not all appeals usually go through as they ought to because of the system glitches. Mr. President, kindly explain to me where this person should land, because among the 9 beaters, the issue of the siblings and probably the dependents around that family, because some of these families adopt people not because they have too much, but because they have compassion on the people in the society who the government is unable or unwilling to help. Mr. President, we also have the issue of a defunct KUSO. And Mr. President, I love what the gentleman who has spoken in Swahili, I must first commend him because of the perfect grammar, of the issue of, I do not know if you know anyone who represents other campus students. Because, comrades, do you know anyone who represents you? Do you have anyone? So, Mr. President, I would like to urge you to probably constitute something that will even be recognized by the government, because as students we have been crying, as student leaders we have been crying for a very long time of people who are there to just by themselves curse, Mr. President, people who are there not to represent our will, but they are own. People who are there for their own stomachs. And these are the people who you are striking against. Mr. President, people in this room are angry because of 2 people. One, it is you. I've told you I'll be impeached if I do not tell you the truth. My constituents told me that they feel, and I will put this as respectfully as possible, that you advise your advisors. Because of the issues, for example, let's say the issue of the new funding model. Mr. President, the only person who has explained the new funding model in the best way is you. So my constituents were asking me, as in, shouldn't the people in charge of that ministry be able to put it better than the president himself? The other person that the comrades are very angry with is in this room, seated somewhere in front, Mr. President. Somebody who has been claiming to represent our interests. But, comrades, does that person represent your interests? Does that person represent your interests? So, Mr. President, if anyone comes to you claiming, Mr. President, the comrades are telling me to tell him to walk out, but we are here for peace, Mr. President. So I would want to put it as straight as possible and to be as brief as a cock on a hen. Mr. President, as things stand, we do not have a representative. Ukweli ama uongo? We do not have a representative unless you enable us have some permanent office to ensure that student leaders are represented, and you ensure that, unlike the many government offices we have today, the government will not interfere with the affairs of the students. Mr. President, the lady there has raised an important issue. First, the questions that are here, most of them have been raised by the people around me because they've realized that you might not have a lot of time to speak. Somebody named Karongo Adangwa, the senator of Kiambu County, and by the way, God willing, I will replace him, raised the point of all these monies being brought to one pool. The MC has a bursary, the woman rep has a bursary. Probably if it was not for a very little chance, the chief might be having a bursary. Mr. President, the entire structure that represents us, and by the way, we also feel overrepresented as Kenyans, and that is one of the reasons we are demonstrating, Mr. President. We have 22 CSS, we have CASs, we have permanent secretaries, and all these people have budgets and they have salaries, but I'll put that aside, Mr. President. So these people have bursaries. And then to get a bursary, you must know somebody in the country that we live in. You've said that you feel for the poor.
Because if they tend to join, that will change the whole thing. If university students join protest in CBD, how many universities are in Nairobi? Look at Nairobi University. Look at TUK, Cooperative, JKUAT, Kenyatta, just within Nairobi here. Then you have Kabete Technical, PC Kinyanjui, look at, Mount Kenya. All these institutions. KEMU is just within town there. So university students have been the force behind this. And yesterday, listen to this gentleman. He was telling the president head on what the president is getting wrong. So this is telling you the kind of edge that is there. And that is the group. Remember that town hall meeting of university funding model? The president ended up not in a very good mood. Because what those young people are saying is what is not working with the previous one. And I analyzed it and I said, the president is lying about the new funding model will help universities be able to work within their budget and have pending bills. And I said this. In fact, universities are going to struggle more. If the government is going to have comfort and say that yes, Sasa, as we used to pay 22,000, so it will be 5,000. And the government is paying more, probably that 90,000. The challenge, if you ask university staff, they will tell you the problem is not that students are not. If you look at the ratio of students not paying and late disbursement from the national government, the national government is the problem. The problem here is the national government is struggling with disbursements and capitation. The same way they're struggling with capitation in secondary school, free primary school, even the grants that are supposed to be given to universities is a problem. They're struggling with that grant. They've not been doing it. So if we want to invest in our education, then we must be intentional about it instead of changing goalposts. So Ruto fears that group most because that group can join the protest. If they join the protest, the whole thing changes. Then the second thing is the teachers, or rather the labor union, the labor unrests. Teachers, KUPPET and NAT are supposed to be in strike. Government successfully managed to split. I'm telling you. They managed to get, I don't know which one is now supporting, which one is not supporting. I'm looking at that game and I'm shocked. Even teachers can be hoodwinked through such petty deals. So I think now KUPPET is supporting and NAT has withdrawn. But I also saw still some teachers are not buying all that shenanigan. So the teachers can, and today the towns, you know, the labor unions, those ones can strike in other areas. Teachers are supposed to be on strike. And KQ workers, Kenya Airways, Kenya Aviation, people in the convention space were also threatening to protest over the Adani deal. The civil servants, government civil servants, were also threatening to protest, and the trade union, not the trade union, county governments, workers, and also the nurses, clinical officers, and the medical interns. All those groups have been struggling. They always wanted to protest. And everyone in this country always wants to protest. In fact, watu wamekasirika. People are just injecting kidogo, 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 kidogo. So that is the other reason why it is it. And the third aspect is the magic of civil societies leading the space. You know, kitambo, civil societies used to protest, but they will not see, you will not see them there. They will pay some few activists here and there to lead, then the protest, then. But nowadays, the magic, the vibrance, the boldness of civil society, they have come from those offices. They're putting on the shirts with the names of the organizations, and they're taking to the street. So you never know what to say. And of course, the president also understands that the stalemate with Wanjigi is very strong. Wanjigi said, I'm coming for you. When Wanjigi said, I'm coming for you, he didn't say he's looking for a gun to go and shoot the president. Of course, he cannot do that. He cannot be able to execute that. But when I was telling the president, I'm coming for you because you've come for my family and myself, what Wanjigi was simply saying here is, expect a contest between me and you. And so you never know what kind of contest is that. And that is why the president and the team are very wary of anyone saying, I will go to the street. It's a really big dilemma for those, for people under the president's circle. Ladies and gentlemen, that is my take. Thank you very much for supporting. Let's meet in the next video. Kindly support this project that we are doing in Kilifi. That is why we are here from Thursday. Oh, I think we will be off with this.